Get ready for a seismic shift in the U.S. housing market. Neighborhoods are on the brink of a panic selling spree, and here's why. People are reaching a financial breaking point. Fresh data from the U.S. Census Bureau is painting a grim picture. The average household income dropped for the third consecutive year in 2023, with after-tax income plummeting by a staggering 8%, marking the largest dip in U.S. history. As the cost of living continues its downward spiral, homeowners are starting to tap into their house equity to make ends meet. This is a sign of serious trouble ahead. When folks start using their homes as financial lifeboats, it's a clear signal that a flood of listings is about to hit the market. Brace yourselves for a cascade of declining home values. And here's an alarming stat to drive the point home. Over 10 million houses in America, a staggering 12%, are uninsured. Why? Because people simply don't have the funds. The personal savings rate in the U.S. is at a shocking low of 3.5%, mirroring the numbers right before the last major crash in 2008. It's a dangerous tightrope to walk, especially with the interest rates at a 20-year high, hovering around 5.5%. Mortgage rates are pushing close to 7.5%. This means that average monthly house payments, including mortgage, interest, property taxes, and insurance, is skyrocketing to $2,900. That's nearly $1,000 more per month than the average rent for an apartment in America. Stay tuned because we're about to see a major shift in the buyer-seller dynamic. And before I reveal the earth-shaking high interest rates, please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Each like and subscribe is fuel for the algorithm that helps support this channel. Thank you. Now, back to what I was saying. In the opinion of the Redfin CEO Glenn Kelman, the only positive aspect of the U.S. housing market is that things don't seem to be getting more dire. According to Goldman Sachs' index, housing affordability has hit a record low, which was cited by the CEO of a real estate listing website as evidence of the difficult market circumstances of the last year. August's average sales price of a single-family house at $420,846 was close to July's record high of $420,827. The interest rate on a 30-year mortgage has been over 7% for some time now. You won't believe what happened with the housing market in 2020 and 2021. It was so insane that even the experts at the Federal Reserve were amazed. The demands for homes skyrocketed due to the pandemic, and people wanted more space to work from home and live with roommates without driving each other crazy. But here's the crazy part. There weren't enough houses to go around. In fact, the researchers at the Federal Reserve think that we would have needed 3 times as many houses just to keep up with the demand. That's a lot of houses. What's even crazier is that at the height of this frenzy, there were only about 546,151 homes for sale on Realtor.com in July of 2021. Compare that to July of 2019, when over 1 million homes were on the market. Can you imagine the competition to find a place to live? But just when everyone thought this housing madness would never end, last year's mortgage rate shock hit. This caused the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rate to go from a 3% rate to a 7% rate, which is way higher. Let's take a look at the housing market in America. Grab a map and you'll see that the Northeast and Midwest regions have the lowest inventory percentages. This area is often referred to as the Rust Belt. Only about 0.5% of houses, or maybe 0.7%, are currently on the market. It's a different story in California, where we also have high inventory numbers, and if you head toward the country's south, you'll see a significant increase in inventory levels. States like Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, and Florida have a variety of homes available to choose from. Inventory levels in these states can reach over 1%, with some cases going up to 1.5% to 2% in markets like Austin, Texas. Austin is currently undergoing a housing crash, which has brought down prices in the area by around 15%. The rental market in the area has also seen a decrease of about 5%. However, despite these lower prices, the inventory level remains at 1.7%. There are a large number of homes available for sale in Austin. In fact, the inventory of available homes increased from 0.6 to 1.7, resulting in a sharp drop in housing prices. Some may argue that low inventory means home prices will stay high. However, the opposite is actually true. When inventory levels decrease, it creates a situation where there is almost no room for error in the housing market. In the case of more inventory, however, buyers gain an upper hand as they have more options and less competition driving prices up. On the other hand, sellers must work harder to make their homes stand out in the sea of available options. The truth is, when the economy is headed towards a downturn, inventory tends to increase. This can have a direct impact on the housing market. If you're considering buying or investing in a property, you'll want to keep an eye on the big picture. Currently, the economy isn't looking too great. Some indicators we're looking at include fewer job openings and a rising unemployment rate. So what does this mean for the housing market? Well, it means that prices and inventory may be affected. As demand for housing decreases, home prices may go down too. On the other hand, as inventory increases, buyers and investors may have more options. This is where we must pay attention to the macro, big picture factors that influence the housing market. Almost 300,000 people who took out home loans in the last 2 years are at risk of default or being forced to sell their homes. That's a huge number of people struggling to keep up with their mortgage payments. Most of these struggling homeowners are first-time buyers. This is a really tough situation for them, especially since many can lack financial literacy. It's possible they simply don't have the knowledge and skills to manage their finances effectively, or maybe they do, but they experience a hardship. Unfortunately, every time the interest rate goes up, the stress levels of these homeowners go up too. They end up struggling to make ends meet, and some are forced into selling their homes just to survive. This is a really difficult situation for anyone, and it's particularly tough for those already struggling due to factors beyond their control. So it turns out that something called the lock-in effect is having a pretty big impact on the real estate market in the US. Basically, what's happening is that people who already own homes and want to buy something bigger or nicer are deciding not to sell their current place. Why? It all comes down to some smart number crunching. Lots of these move-up buyers have snagged some really low interest rates on their mortgages, like 2% or 3%. But if they sell their current home and buy a new one, they might end up with an interest rate of 6% or 7%. So they're thinking, why give up that amazing rate they already have? It's just not worth it. Now, all of this number juggling has had some major consequences. Specifically, the number of new homes being put up for sale has gone way down. In fact, in July of 2023, there were only 374,028 new listings. To put that in perspective, there were over 500,000 new listings just 2 years earlier. It's a pretty huge drop. And of course, the lack of new homes being put up for sale is causing all sorts of challenges for people trying to buy. You may have heard that the sales in the housing market have been slowing down lately. Experts say this trend will likely stick around for quite some time. This is because mortgage rates need to come down to make buying a home more affordable. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that will happen anytime soon. The problem is that central bankers are keeping a close watch on inflation. They want to make sure that it doesn't get too high, so they're hesitant to bring those mortgage rates down just yet. This means that, for the time being, home affordability will continue to be a challenge. Over the last 18 months or so, the Federal Reserve team has bumped up interest rates in an effort to keep prices from getting too high. Unfortunately, this has had the side effect of making mortgage rates go up as well, with some of the highest rates we've seen in the past 20 years. Right now, a website called CME FedWatch monitors the market and predicts whether or not interest rates will stay above 5% by the end of 2024. According to them, there's a 44% chance of that happening. But good news, a real estate company called Redfin thinks things might be looking up. They predict that by the end of 2023, the 30-year mortgage rate will drop to around 6%, so not quite as high as it is now, but still something to keep an eye on. It's important to note that this slowdown isn't just affecting a specific area or group of people. It's a widespread issue that is impacting the entire housing market. If you're considering buying a home anytime soon, it might be worth considering your options carefully before making any big moves. With so many people in this situation, it's clear that we need to do more to help people struggling with their mortgages. Whether that means providing financial education to those who need it or offering assistance to help homeowners stay in their homes, we need to work together to help those most vulnerable. Thanks for watching, and please make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to leave a comment below letting me know what housing trends you're noticing in your market.